Welcome back to 100 Days of Code with Here. My name is Shruti, and we are in week 7 of 100 Days of Code, which means today we will be discussing solutions to days 31 through 35 of 100 Days of Code. If you still have no idea what 100 Days of Code is, please check the link in the description, which has a blog which explains everything about 100 Days of Code. We also have links to our GitHub repository where you can find the codes from the previous days. So also keep checking our Twitter handle at your dev for tasks every day for 100 days. So without further ado, I will begin the solutions for day 31 through 35. So day 31 of 100 days of code was to start exploring the browse endpoint of the geocoding and search API. So so far we've seen the auto suggest, we've seen the discover. Now we're going to move on to the browse endpoint. So like discover was to look around you, to look for all the places around you. Browse is similar, but it gives you a more structured search to look for places around the given place. So if you can go to the documentation in geocoding and search API and scroll down to the browse endpoint, you'll see that browse has the at, which is a required parameter, which is a browse at what location. And then it has something called categories. So first we're going to, for day 31, we're going to simply look at using the name parameter and then the at parameter. So the simple browse endpoint without any other parameters attached to it. So I'm going to quickly change this to browse. And now in parameters, I have name. And for tasks for day 31, I wanted to look for museums. So I'm going to quickly type in museum and then give an at parameter, which is the location where you want to look for it. So I'm going to copy my location here. And that's it. So that should be it. And then I'm going to remove the console bubble. So this simple call should give me the museums around this location. So let's check our code and see what we've got. So what we have here is around 20 museums around the place that I gave my latitude and longitude as. So that was a simple browse endpoint of geocoding and search, and that's it for day 31. With day 32 of 100 days of code, we are going to explore details of the browse API and why it is such a powerful endpoint of the geocoding and search API. So if you can see, the main parameter here is the categories, and the category filter helps you uh, efficiently find a very specific place that you're looking for, a very specific type of place that you're looking for. And the way it is done is that so the places, the points of interest have been divided into several categories, and they have been arranged in a sort of a category system, which is of two different types. So one, you have the here places category system, and then you have, especially for food, you have the here places food types. So what we're going to do is we're going to check in the here places category system. You can see here that the different types of points of interest are categorized into three levels. So one is the general category, the high level category, which is eat and drink, and then you have transportation, going out and entertainment, sites and museums. And then you have the level 2 categories, which is within eat and drink, you have restaurants, and then you have specifically coffee and tea, so cafes. And then the level 3 is even more granular, which gives you specific types of restaurants. So you have takeout and delivery only restaurants, fine dining restaurants. So you can use these category systems to further filter your query. So this time I want to look for uh, historic museums around me. So what I'm going to do is look for the museums. So we have the category, let me see, sites and museums, right? So within the museums, sites and museums, you have the museum subcategory. And within the museum subcategory, you have the history museum category. And this is exactly what I'm looking for. So for day 32, we want to look for history museums around me. So I'm going to add the parameter called category. It's categories, and then add this particular code. So 300 is the level 1, which is museums and sites. Then 3100, which is museum, and then you have the 0028, which is specifically history museum. So once I add this parameter, I should get simply the history museums around me. So there you go. This was day 32 of 100 days of code. With day 32, we saw the places category system. For day 33, we are going to combine the food category system along with the places category system to get an even finer result. So basically, what we wanted was a takeout and delivery only restaurant which serves Mexican food. So first we will use the takeout and delivery filter. So you have this category number which is only for takeout and delivery. And then you can add multiple categories, but you need to make sure that uh, the filter is loose enough, because the filter is a very hard filter. So if you add too many filters, you will get very, very coarse results. So you can always separate the different filters or different category numbers with commas. So you have the takeout and delivery only option. And then in the food category system, so if you go to food types, you have you want to look for Mexican food. So if you see, this is divided into like North American, Asian, European, South American food. And then within those categories, you have a second level of subcategory with what kind of food. So you can find the Mexican food here in this category. So we can add this as the Mexican food category, and then we don't need this. And if you check this now, so what you have is basically all the places which serve Mexican food and have a takeout and delivery option. So you have sort of filtered your results to show only takeout and delivery, which is probably the only way to get some food right now in these situations. So yeah, that was day 33 of 100 days of code. With day 34, we are going to explore an almost reverse way of looking up places. So this is, you're going to use the lookup by ID endpoint, which means if in you have performed a sort of a search in the past at some point, and now you have the ID of the restaurant, the ID which is present in as the result of the here any geocoding endpoint, and now you want to look up the details of this restaurant to either, let's say, get the details of the working hours, if you want to get the address, if you want to get the access point and other details. So if you want to basically retrieve other details, you can also use the ID of the restaurant or the place of interest. So let's see, from the previous response we have this Pizza Max, and you have the here ID. So within the object, within the result object, you have the access, you have the address, and then you have the ID here. So this is what you're going to use to write your query. So I'm going to copy this ID right here, and then use the endpoint lookup. So it is basically, if you if you go to the documentation by lookup by ID, it's just simply lookup, and then all you need is ID and then possibly a language. So I'm just going to use ID as the parameter. And this is the ID that we copied. So now if you save this and then you run this, you will see that you have more information about Pizza Max. You have the position, you have opening hours, you have contact information and everything. So um, this is quite essential when you want to display more information about a place of point of interest in your application. So that was day 34 of 100 days of code. With day 21, we started looking at geocoding and search API and all its different endpoints. So far we've looked at discover, geocode, autosuggest, browse, etc. All these were in a way forward geocoding, which means you had the name, you had the category, or you had half an address or something, and then you looked for the the latitude and longitude, the position of it, which was forward geocoding. Now, with day 35 of 100 days of code, we are going to look at reverse geocoding, which is, as the name suggests, that you already have a point and you want to know more about the place, what the address is, access points, and other details. So, in a way, this works where suppose you have the map in front of you and you already know where you are and you want to know more about that place. So what you would do is, let's say, um, yeah, let's say you sort of click on a place and then you want to know what it is. So I'm going to click here and I get a latitude and longitude. And with reverse geocoding, I want to know what that place is. So we're going to go to the reverse geocode API, and you see that all you need is an at, which is the latitude and longitude, and then set this to reverse geocoding. So reverse geocode, and we need an at. And I'm going to use the latitude and longitude I just picked up from the place that I clicked on. So you have this, and you have the longitude. So now when I click save, what I get is, I should get what the place is. So you see that the the place is an address, it's a house. So you can see the type of the place, you can see other things as position, you see the access, you see the postal address, the detailed postal address with house number and everything. So this is what reverse geocoding means. And of course, you can do it for points of interest, but you can also do it for locations in general, where you know where they are on the map and then you don't know what the actual address is. So that was day 35 of 100 days of code. With this, we have finished today's solutions video for days 31 to 35. If you want to read the blog post which comes with this solution video, you can check the link in the description. We have the link to the blogs for solutions for 100 days of code, as well as there is a link to our GitHub repository which has all the codes for the last few days. So go and check that out and clone the repository, send us your own solutions, tweet at us at your dev with your solutions, and keep following 100 days of code.